This podcast is brought to you by Financial Fashion Company. I wanted to remind you guys to go check out our store. You can visit www.fnfstore.com, check out our positive apparel, and if you see something that you like, use discount code FNF10 to get 10% off your first order. Back to the show.
You are now tuned in to We Invest Different Podcast, where we have high-level conversations. I'm Mr. John Michael Best.
And I'm Victor Thomas II.
Let's tap in. Tapping in. We back for another conversation. Of We Invest Different Podcast. I'm co-host Mr. John Michael Best.
And I'm your other co-host, Victor Thomas II.
And it's good to be back, man. I'm exhausted. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I've been working, day in and day out, and I usually try to keep my schedule to the point where I don't get tired. Mm-hmm. But I'm learning, like we always say, plans change.
Yeah.
So like even when I try to scheduled my day to have like one thing to do. Mm-hmm. I ended up doing more than one thing without even planning for it. So I ended up being a lot tireder, and then I get home and I have to see about Micah. So I'm exhausted because of all of that, man. But nevertheless, I'm glad to be back. So how you doing, Vic?
I'm doing good, man. Working this new job.
A new one?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's the same one, but I ain't never said it on here before.
Okay.
But yeah. But yeah, just initially it was new, adding something onto myself, so it was, taking precedence over everything else. Yeah. Honestly, really just making everything obsolete. You know what I mean? So I'm just working. But now, I'm figuring out different strategies to re-implement the things that I was doing prior to the job. You did what I mean?
Yeah.
My mind is opening up to that, and I'm thinking I'm finding a new balance and being able to carry multiple things, you know what I mean? So, if I had to put it in a nutshell, man, I'm going through a real positive recalibration right now, you feel me?
Growth.
Yes, sir. So, I'm grateful, man.
And I hear that, I hear some type of uncomfort in your process of what you're going through, but even with it being uncomfortable, that's where growth happens.
Yes, sir.
So that just shows you, bro, you growing. You moving to another stage in your life, and you taking on something that you confidently is taking on, something new. Not everybody want to step into something that they don't necessarily want to do.
Yeah.
And still do it and find a way to make it work for you. Like that's a good quality.
Right. And I tell you what, man, that's probably the biggest lesson I'm learning through this. You know what I mean? Like, the job is cool, but, through my meditations and just all that kind of stuff, I'm learning that it's like the money is cool, but the growth is what I'm really getting from this. You know what I mean? For real. Just even with interacting with different kinds of people, balancing my schedule, getting up and doing it even though I don't want to.
Fact. Did you know stress is one of the leading causes of chronic physical and mental health issues? This is why we started this movement, MH10, Mental Health 10 Minutes. And we want to inspire everybody to take at least 10 minutes a day for a walk, jog, or run. Or even if it's just a stroll in the sunlight to get some fresh air. The goal is just for you to focus on yourself for those 10 minutes. And what this does, it lowers the chances of you experiencing anxiety and depression, because we all know that stress leads to those things. So get outside today and take your 10 minutes. And if you want to post on social media, use hashtag MH10 or mental health 10 minutes. Now back to the show.
But yeah, that's the biggest payoff, you know what I mean? Not just the check, but, the growth that I'm experiencing and being conscious of the growth. Because I could just be going through it and just hating it the whole time. But I thank God that I'm conscious of what's going on, and, that really keep me going for real. So,
and that's what's up, man. I'm glad you enjoying your process, and you learning from your process, and you growing from your process. I think that's a goal that we all should have from anything or any encounter we have in our life. Right. But moving on to the topic, man, I do want to talk about a few things, and I'm going to say them real quick. The first thing I want to run down is, I want to talk about love. Because love is such a great spirit. Love is such a great power. Love is such a great energy. And so much comes out of love. But the part of love of what I want to talk about is, how do we learn what that is? Like, where do we get love from? Because, we don't come here knowing, as a baby, as a child, like I look at my son, they don't know anything.
Right.
So when you come here, you have to learn it from somewhere. As you grow older in your environment and the people that you have around you, you start learning different things. And there's so many ways that you learn. You learn, from observation. You learn from, hands-on, and you also learn from, hearing.
All right.
So my question to myself when I started thinking about love is like, okay, where did I really get that from? Where did I see love? Like, how did I end up learning what love is? Was it because I received love from someone? Because, sometimes people they go through their whole childhood and not really receive that love that they need, that attention that they need for them to grow up and be a productive adult. Because even when I was listening to the pregnancy center before I had my son, like, we used to go to this pregnancy center and they used to teach us about, kids or whatever. And one time this segment talked about how crucial eye contact is for babies. So literally, if you can neglect your child and your child can feel that as an infant. So as it grows up, it don't feel loved. It don't feel much about himself because it was neglected by his parent. And the parent don't really realize that something as small as eye contact sends love to their child.
That's heavy right there.
It changed my whole perspective. And it made me realize that we got to be very deliberate on what's being shown. Because growing up, I feel like those are very important years of your life. Those are very developmental moments. And, looking back on my life, I thank God that I was able to see some type of love. I did see some, what's the word? Some
affection.
Let me put it like this. I did see some wrongs, but I did also see rights. Okay. I can't make it seem like I just seen a bunch of
rights and wrongs as far as what though?
Like love. Like I did see love. I didn't just see hate or violence or drugs or all of the things that comes with growing up in different type of environments. I didn't just only see the bad, is what I'm saying. I did see some type of love because I seen, of course, the love of God and that he had towards us. That's first and foremost. That was like one of the main things I was able to learn growing up. The consciousness of that God loved us and he sent his son into the world that we all may be saved through him.
Right. Okay,
that's the first expression, on the spiritual side. But I can see that I didn't really receive, like lessons on what love is. Like somebody sent you down like, listen, like this is what love is.
Word.
I only got that perspective of like church. Like I only got the perspective of love from church and from God. And I see that now, like sometimes we have problems as men. Well, let me be transparent. I've had problems with loving because of that. Because I never actually seen it physically. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had nobody to express that what love is physically to me. Okay, my mama loved me. But to actually sit me down and teach me what love is and what the expression of love is, like, okay, if somebody treats you like this is how they know they love you. Or okay, if they have this type of energy with you, that's an expression of love. Nobody broke that down to me. Like, it was just all about observation. That was the way I learned love, through observation. You remember the ways we talked about learning? I had to observe to find out what love was. I didn't actually get taught or I observed and I heard, but it wasn't really hands-on for me until I got grown and got into relationships and started learning, the ups and downs and the dynamics of love.
Word.
But man, yeah, I wanted to talk about that and I want to get your take on it. So the question I want to pose is like, look back on your life, bro. and really see, like, where did your example of love, like, what was your first example of love? Where did that come from?
Parents, of course. Parents. I mean, that's where this, like you said, from a child. You know what I mean? That's where mine came from as a child. And even then, you know, in the moment, if I put myself back in that moment, it's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't perceive as love as a child. You know what I mean? Like, go do this, go do that. Don't go over there, don't come over here. You know, that could be love. But in the moment, I'm like, you just don't want me to do what I want to do type stuff. You know what I mean? So with that being said, and seeing that's how love can go, we may not always understand it, man. Because I have been thinking about love a lot these last few years and just trying to understand it. And it's so complicated because it's so based on perspective. It's like,
yeah,
I've tried to define love in my own mind. And I try to be unbiased and I try to be open. And in me being that way to defining it, I really can't come to one answer, if you know what I'm saying.
I feel you. I feel it.
Yeah.
But so in your own words, so you saying that you don't have a personal definition. You can't really come up with a, okay.
Because it's so based on the situation. You dig what I'm saying? Like, for example, like, you may do something for me, or you may do something and it may be perceived as love. But another person may do or say something to me and it's not the same. You get what I'm saying? Because of who you are.
Right.
You feel me? So it's so complicated.
I kind of feel what you're saying because it's different for every person is what you're saying. Like,
yeah.
Because I really feel like I grew up, I just expressed to you my perspective of how I grew up. And you got a totally different perspective. So I agree with what you're saying. Because like your definition of love and everybody's definition of love comes from their experience. And, you know, their experience with learning from love. Like, okay, like we talked about the observation, the hands-on and the hearing, the way you learn what love is. Now, every situation is different, like what you said. In somebody else's household, they probably learn love hands-on. They probably hug a lot. Like in my household, we didn't hug a lot. Like we didn't show that type of love. But that doesn't mean I didn't see love.
Right. That's
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
See, I dig what you're saying.
Right.
So,
and it's even deeper because it's like it can even come down to like I have my perspective, but what also matters in, you know, seeing love is who it's coming from. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to come up with an example. Cause it's like, all right, say like you got two people that grew up together, you feel me? And every time they saw each other, they said, "What's up, nigga?" And then that was love. Like, yeah, like we good.
Yeah.
You my nigga. What's up, nigga?
Yeah.
But if a white person walk in and say, "What's up, nigga?" Oh, that ain't love no more. You feel me?
Yeah.
It's so complicated. And it could be like that for something so simple,
But
too.
see, that's the experience thing.
Yeah.
I know that's a whole nother topic. Like experiences is a whole nother topic because like we talk about it all the time. Experiences are received through our senses. And whatever we receive through our senses, it's memorized by the brain and it makes us who we are, subconsciously and consciously. So I understand that, you know, it ranges from person to person, household to household. You know, everybody's not going to view love the same or experience love the same because we grew up around different peoples. And even if you did grow up around the same people, you're just not the same person. So like everybody learn different. Like that's why I wanted to really stress the few ways of learning because everybody don't learn and perceive things the same way. So although I might have a perception of love and I might feel like that's the only one. Like you were just saying, the white guy walked in and he thought that was love by him saying, "What's up, nigga?" Because he just heard y'all say it to each other. So he like, "What's up, nigga?" But he didn't really understand that we say what's up, nigga, because we have the experience in common.
Right.
But see, the only thing that separated us was that he didn't have that experience.
Right.
So we all have, you know, different encounters with love and what love is, but that shit's still different. So moving on to the next part of the conversation, which I really want to talk about, and we're gonna wrap it up because I know that we got some things that we got to get to. Mm-hmm. But moving along, I wanted to talk about the trauma aspect of love. Because I really thought about this psychologically, right? I thought about a person who has been done wrong, you know, who's experienced trauma from somebody, right? Let's think about a person who has experienced trauma. Now, if you experience trauma from a person you love, it's different from experiencing trauma from a stranger. So I started thinking about how psychologically that can screw a person's life up. Like, think about it. Okay, now if you growing up and your experience with love, you know, you had a loving household, but then somebody in that household did something very traumatic to you. Now, because you felt some type of way already, you already had love for this person that did something to you, it's going to mess the way you think about love up. You see what I'm saying? So that's another reason experiences separate the way we view love. So like, okay, like that trauma that you experienced from somebody you loved caused you to really not like love and not trust the people that's closest to you. So now you'll find people that are really off to themselves or only mess with people that, like, they would rather like go to a town that they don't know nobody and just make new friends. Yeah. I never understood how people could do that, but it's a lot of trauma to get people to the point where they want to move to a whole town to where nobody knows them and they can start over. Yeah. So like
that could be the case. Sometimes it might not just be only cause like that can happen outside of trauma and love. You know what I mean? I don't want nobody to feel that that's not a cool thing to do. Yeah. Cause it sometimes is needed. Yeah. But sometimes people do that because of their experience trauma, you know, exactly in their environment, for real.
Even going to school out of state, you got to think about it. If you talk to some of these kids and you ask them why they want to go out of state, they say, I just don't want to be home no more. Because it's connected to something. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's deeper than what's really on the surface. So that's really where I was hitting at. And I feel like we got to be really... I'm thinking this way because I just had a son, bro, honestly.
No, that's real. That's how it's supposed to be.
Because you got to really think about what's being observed and what's being learned, because something that you think is normal for you could be traumatic to your child. Right. And so, like, I want to be able to for him to observe whichever way he desired to learn. I want him to see love in whichever way he learned.
And look, Pete Gang, though, I'm glad you said that, because learning is the number one thing to understanding love. And when I say understanding love, I'm not saying it only be about what we perceive love as. I think what's most important is to learn how other people perceive love.
That's deep,
and
bro.
Learn that.
That's growth right there.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that takes, I believe, from my experience, crazy experience, is listening to people's experience. Hear where they coming from. You know what I mean? What you been through. And I think we don't have enough of those conversations with our friends, family, whoever. You know what I mean? Yes. It's never, you know, it's always, ha, good time, let's crack jokes. But it's never really them real conversations. Hey, how you feeling? You know, and letting it go too. Because usually if we talk about how we feeling today, it's going to always end up in something from the past. I learned that. If me and you sitting here having a real, just like right now, true. We jumped off the conversation talking about love and went straight to childhood. Yeah. You dig what I'm saying? So I think if we spent more time really trying to understand people's experiences and how they perceive their experiences, we will know how to love them better. And then I think in us loving them, we will be able to experience love on a greater level. Yes. And what made me say that is when you said something about a child, because a lot of times people don't listen to the kids. this what it is, this what it's gonna be. Say something if you want to.
Speak, bro.
You know what I mean? So we gotta take the time to really be like, hey, what's going on? How you feel about it? Even if they respond sound about crazy to us. Cause they still a child, but sometimes we just need to get that off. I know I did as a child. Cause it seemed like nobody never asked me about, how I felt about my parents' divorce while it was going on.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? It was like, oh, after shit done hit the fan, I'm crazy. I done did this. I done did that. You okay? Like, why you ain't asked me back then?
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? And I think that's something that people forget to do. Ask how the child see it, how you feel, you know what I mean? And then you will know how to love that child. And that's love, understanding. I think that's the number one thing.
Bro, it's so much in this conversation, and it's so much in trauma and love. Right. This conversation can go on and on because even the person that we're talking about, like your parents even had their own personal traumas, which caused them not to even check on you. So it's like it's so deep, and it's a trickle down effect. Like one of the main reasons I wanted to have this conversation is because I got very upset. I've been very upset lately about how I have to unlearn this mindset of mistreating people for them to prove their loyalty to me. Because I've been around people so long with that mindset, mistreating people, treating them wrong, treating them bad. That's not how you're supposed to treat a person.
Right.
And that's not even how you should want a person to follow you. If why would you want to follow a person that mistreats you and mistreat people?
Right.
That's not the way of God.
Real talk.
And I've been taught subconsciously, and I've been taught consciously, not even knowing that it's wrong. I've been around people that mistreat people and like it's normal, and it just don't make no sense. And I don't want to be like that, and I'm definitely reinforcing that thing because it's not right.
Right.
It's not right. You're supposed to move in the spirit of love and peace. Yeah. Move in the spirit of love and peace, and I feel that when we get caught up into ego, man, it's the ego. It's the ego, bro.
Man, that's the enemy right there, man.
That's you right. And I feel like that's the reason why God resists the pride. Yeah. He resists the pride and go to the one that's humble.
For sure, man.
Because pride is just another word for that.
Pretty much.
But man, leading on. Oh, you about to say?
Nah, I was just gonna say something. That ego, man. I've been thinking about that a lot, man. And it's crazy you said that because I was literally over here meditating before you came, and man, my ego done got me in so much bull crap, man. You know what I mean?
Me too, man.
Like my ego would have me. I'll be in a bad situation already. And then my ego will step in like, yeah, nigga, we finna turn this shit up some more. You dig what I'm saying? We finna make this situation that much worse. You know what I'm saying?
What you mean?
All right, like, say like,
how do you make it worse?
Say like you getting into something. You know what I mean? You getting into something with somebody. You dig what I'm saying? It's already conflict. Now, this person that you getting into it with says something. Now, at the end of the day, we'll sit back all day long and say, it ain't number words. Them ain't number words. But the ego don't think like that.
Oh, nah.
The ego gonna jump in and say, no, that motherfucker didn't just say that shit.
You meant that.
Yeah, and the ego gonna say, nigga, we ain't finna let that shit slide.
Right.
So we finna really goddamn turn up. And now there's one little simple situation done got that much more worse. Because that ego saying, oh, you ain't finna do me like that.
Boy, you preaching to the choir, bro.
You see what I'm saying? I done took so many situations from warm to hot because of that. But see, all I needed to do and what I practice now is to remember love.
Where did that come from?
What?
See, I like having these conversations, and me and Manuel, man, we've been talking about Dick Gregory in the last few days and all this shit. We've been on high level conversations.
Yeah, right.
But like, man, like I understand this shit is so deep and powerful because everything you just said, trauma is connected to ego. Like we gotta really think about this shit. Like you wouldn't feel some type of way about a person saying what they said. Like you wouldn't feel like you gotta get back. if you didn't have a previous experience of having to get back. If you have never went through that before, you wouldn't have responded like that, in other words.
Right, real talk.
You only responded like that because you have before.
Right. It's what you learn. Learn behavior.
You had to respond. You felt like it was survival. You felt like you had to respond like that before. So now it presented itself again like, oh, you already know, but I ain't letting this go down. You know what happened last time? Oh, I'm still him.
Right.
I'm still him.
You must not know. You must not know me.
You know what I'm saying?
I find myself all the time at work, bro. I be like, man, these folk know Victor. They don't know Vic in this motherfucker. You know what I mean? As soon as some bullets don't happen, but I keep showing them Victor. They don't know Vic. Vic finna come out. But that just be my ego. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot of stuff that I got to let slide. And that's something I'm learning. Yeah. And I got to remember love. You know what I mean? And for me, man, that's just like, you know, going back to the scripture, man. Something about wearing that mercy and grace around your neck or something like that. You know, letting that good show that's in you. And also putting on the yoke of Jesus, man.
Yeah, man.
Like, I was holding on to that one, like, right before you got here, like, because when you put on the yoke, I just think about my dog. Like, you put that thing around his neck and you walking him, he may want to go over there. And he might get frustrated because he can't. But see, I got to think about God in that sense. You feel me?
Damn. Yeah.
God gonna be like, yeah, you can walk freely, but I'm gonna yank that chain when you trying to go that way. I'm gonna direct you to where you need to go. So you might think you need to go that way. Right, a shepherd. You might think you need to go that way, and you might get frustrated when you can't, but trust and believe. If you continue to let me guide you, you're gonna be straight. So that's what I gotta remember, man. And that ain't nothing but love. You know what I mean? When somebody trying to guide you the right way, that ain't nothing but love. Even with our parents, they might not have did the best job in our opinion or in comparison to other families. You feel me?
Yeah.
But they was doing the best they could in guiding us, man. And at the end of the day, that's love, bro.
And my mama loved the hell out of us.
Yeah,
so I just
man.
want to put that on record. And last week, I ended up highlighting my aunties, and I realized, and my mama texted me too, that I didn't spotlight her out. She actually was the first one to donate to the MH10 community event.
Yeah, right.
You know, on my mind, it was just fresh because my aunties had just gave and it slipped my mind. But totally appreciate my mama, man, because
That's right.
man, she did some impossible things. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Like, I remember, right? I don't like to talk about this a lot, but I was talking to my girl not too long ago.
Your woman.
Yeah, my woman. Thank you. I was talking to my woman not too long ago about when my mama finally signed me up to play football. And, man, she wanted me to play. And she didn't have the money. She knows she didn't have the money, but I seen her spend bill money. She spent, when I played football for the first time, it was off of bill money. We rolled past the park, and the park said, it had the sign over there, it said football registration. And so I was like, Mama, I want to play. Mama, I want to play. And I just seen it, like she wanted to do it for me. And it was like, we drove over there and everything. We drove over there. And we seen the kids out there. We seen the coaches or whatever. We got the price. And I think it was, it wasn't nothing about $100 and some dollars? Or was it $300?
Whichever.
Man, but, yeah, right. Whichever it was, I knew that it was bill money.
Right.
But I started to cry after we left because she wasn't going to do it at first because she was like, I just ain't got it right now. Yeah. And it was the last week for registration. Like, if we wouldn't get it right then, I wasn't going to play. So I started to cry. And she turned around, bro. And I signed up for the team.
That's right.
But then, one more. I was getting ready to start playing high school ball. So I was off Gresham Road, East Atlanta. So I went to one practice or whatever. And when we got there, I was gonna start playing fullback. You know, they wasn't doing contact in practice yet. So this was like the last practice before contact was about to start. So the next practice, I was gonna need my helmet and my equipment and stuff. So I got back home from practice and I was like, yeah, Mom, we're about to start doing contact. and I'm gonna need my helmet and shoulder pads. And like the look I seen on her face, I said, "Fuck football, bro." Well, I was already feeling like that because I felt like it was just too much. Not just on my mama to pay for it, but it was like, for me, I just felt like I didn't see my life being every Saturday football game, every Tuesday and Thursday football practice. I didn't see myself dedicating to something that depend on my physical body. Yeah. And then also, I just felt like I just felt more worth. I felt more valuable than running a football. Yeah. So I started, I started digging a little deeper because me and Manuel used to always talk about being pediatricians. It was our dream to be pediatricians, and we was going to go to the University of Georgia. I was going to be a Bulldog, and that's what we was going to do. And, and it changed over time. But I gladly laid football to the side, man, because I felt like I was destined for something more greater than that. But I also just didn't want to make that commitment, too. I knew what it was going to take. And I ain't going to lie, not having slowed me down. Like, not seeing my mama go through that and I couldn't do it on my own. Mm-hmm. It just made me even more it just reaffirmed my feelings of not wanting to commit. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, but I already didn't want to commit like that because I knew the time it was going to take. But then on top of that, my mama couldn't pay for it. So it was just like.
But and in that story, man, thinking about love, that was growth of love. Because you being understanding of your mama's situation, you might not see where it happened in your life, but somewhere you ended up showing that same compassion to someone else because you understood that. You dig what I'm saying? So that's a blessing right there, man. That's a blessing.
Shout out to mama, man.
Real talk, man.
I love you forever, and I appreciate everything that you do, and don't ever feel like you wasn't a good mother.
Yeah, man.
And I know I talk about some things that you didn't understand that I was going through because we didn't have that, we didn't have that communication. We could have had better communication, but we only go forward.
That's right.
And we're at a much better place now as far as I love my mama, man. I always check up on my mama. I love my mama, bro. I talk about my mama a lot. You can ask Chills. Like, I always reference my mama, like, because that's my baby.
That's right.
That's my mama, man. I know I didn't growing up, man, I was angry a lot. And I was nasty. I showed a nasty attitude sometimes. But I was never to the point where I was just disrespectful all the time, not doing what she say. I was always going to do what my mama say. I didn't always agree with the way things were done, and I was going to be vocal about that. But I was never just going to just flat out just be disrespectful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I always had that high respect level for my mama. And yeah. I think everybody should.
Yeah.
But closing out, man, going into the segment of what you learned, we're going to make this real brief, do the financial theme, and then we're going to go ahead and get out of here. But for what you learn, man, we always do this segment where we put people down on something that we put people down on something that we learn that's valuable and that other people can learn from. So is there anything, no matter what it is, that you want to drop to the people that they can just, jot down or take a mental note of that will help them out in life or throughout their day?
And move that schedule around. You get more stuff, don't get locked in on this being on this time, this being on that day. Move that schedule around. If you got to do it in the morning, do it in the morning. If some pop up and you got to do it in the morning, move that thing to the night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm learning. And I'm learning also that we got more strength than we think we do. I know I got more strength than I think I do. I'm learning. You know what I mean? As far as being able to press and stuff like that. So, push them limits sometimes. Still make sure you get good rest and good sleep. But, still know that there is a press involved. You know what I mean? I'm really learning that. What about you?
Well, really, with me just having a son, I'm learning to actually allow my son to depend on me. Because I have a problem with being dependent. I don't like dependency. I've been like this ever since forever. And I can count on one hand how many times I asked my mother to help me with homework or with a test, or I never asked for nothing, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So I see that as a problem. It's turned into a problem because I'm very hard in some areas because I made myself that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to. I see that it's not good for me to put that on my son because my son didn't have the same experience. Like I can't put my experience on my son and be like, oh, this happened to me, so you need to be like this. Like, no, I'm his parent, so he needs to depend on me, and he needs to know he can depend on me. I know it, but I know I'm gonna keep a balance with that, but I'm a little extreme. I'll mess around and just like make him thug it out. And that's not good. You know what I'm saying? I can't do that to my baby because, like we was talking about that neglect earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, okay, I'm making him tough, but really he feeling neglected. So you justifying it in your head, but that ain't really what it is in his life. In his head, he's neglected.
Mm-hmm.
So pay attention. Like my only thing is like we got to make sure we don't put our experiences and our emotions and our feelings and our traumas off on other people. We got to do what's best for us and only us. And if you do what's best for you, and if it's positive in a positive way, it's gonna automatically be in a good way for other people. But you got to make sure you yourself. You did what I'm saying. You gotta make sure you not doing that.
Amen.
Okay, next segment, man. Financial theme of the month. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, for listening this far, and for rocking with us for 17 conversations. And this has been a pleasure. I've been appreciating Vic for hopping on the podcast with me, man. And we doing this together. It's been such a pleasure and an honor. And it's been a learning process, a growing process.
Mm-hmm.
But going into our next segment, the financial theme of the month. Oh, it's June, bro.
Yeah, it's a new one. That's what I was waiting for.
Oh, man, it's June.
I was thinking he ain't said nothing to me about the new one, so I'm over here tuned in waiting for it.
Dang, I'm on the spot. I don't totally, because it's only what, the third, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man, okay.
You can be honest, man.
Yeah, I ain't really prepared.
Yeah,
I didn't prepare for the financial theme for June, but it's not like we don't have one, because we can always get a financial theme from something that we've had experience with. Because like I said, like we have said, we're not gonna drop nothing that we haven't done or aren't doing. It wouldn't make sense to do that. But one thing, let me see.
You ain't gotta come up with one right now,
Nah,
man.
I'm saying I got one, bro.
Oh, okay.
Because somebody just hit me up. Actually, one of my old business partners hit me up and was like, hey, man, could you help me save taxes at my job again? Because I used to do my econ, and my econ talked about wealth strategies, and one of the wealth strategies that wealthy people use is saving money on their taxes. So if you work a job, the easiest way to save money on the taxes is open a business. So that's going to be the financial theme of the month. Now, I know that everybody is not entrepreneurs. Don't mean you have to quit your job to own a business. You can work a job and own a business. So if you're one of those people that like to do both of them, you might not be a full-time entrepreneur. But one way to save taxes, right? The average taxes is between, 30 to 35%. So if you want to cut that down by at least 15%, 10 to 15%, you do that immediately by owning a business, and you can start doing tax deductions. That's why you could do that when you own a business. See, when you're an employee, you can't deduct anything. You can't write anything off because you don't own an entity or anything that fuels the economy. But when you open a business, America is a capitalistic society. So for every business, they give, perks to. And to save on taxes by opening a business is one of those perks. And that's really one of the most known perks that it didn't take a lot of research to find that out. Like that's really basic knowledge. You can just literally own a business and you update your information at your job. Let them know that you're not going to pay your taxes off the top, that you're going to pay your taxes at the end of the year. Because they can't tax you the same after you become a business owner. Employees, you got to either file exempt and get a penalty, or you just got to pay your taxes.
Right, that's it.
So like,
what's the other option you talking about? I'm like, I ain't heard that one.
Employees can't avoid taxes. The only way to avoid taxes is by you owning a business or running a charity, bro. So with that being said, just keep that in mind, you guys. If you're working a job, save on taxes simply by just owning a business. Just do something you love, okay? Like if you collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I said something weird, but I'm just saying, like, it don't matter. Just put
something weird.
I'm just saying, just put a name on it.
Ain't nothing weird about having Yu-Gi-Oh cards. People out there ain't nothing weird about doing Yu-Gi-Oh
Man, that's
cards.
weird. I'm just playing. Nah, I'm just playing, y'all. Like, I ain't into that, but
you go say
to each his own. But yeah, like, if you just want to save money at your job, just remember, you don't have to quit.
Now, you was finna have an example.
Yeah,
if you got just have a business where you doing.
Just start something that you already love doing. You know what I'm saying? If you like, okay, like, even I don't care if you tutor people. I don't care if you got a little tutoring business. Like, if you help people tutor and people pay you a little bit on the side for tutoring, like, that's a business. Put a name on it. Get your LLC and actually get paperwork behind it so you can start having tax deductions. So when they pay you at your job, hey, you getting your money. You getting your money. And that's exactly how I saved about $400 a month when I used to work a job back in 15 through 16, 14 through 16. So, yeah. Blessings to everybody, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. This was a pleasure. We said it was going to be a 30-minute episode and it ended up being close to an hour again still. We can't, I mean.
Let God work, man.
I know, man. I'm hungry as a mug, too. I'm ready to eat. But I thank you, Vic, for chiming in with me, man, for this dialogue, for this high frequency, high vibration, conversation. And I'm co-host Mr. John Michael Best.
And I'm your other co-host, Victor Thomas II.
Hey, and then we still planning another MH10 community event. I definitely want to do. I ain't even gonna say it. Stay tuned. We got another event coming, and we'll see y'all next week for Conversation 18. Later, and we out.
Peace.